good evening, and thank you for joining us for Pasadena Water and Power's Water Town Hall. I'm Kelly O'Rourke, and I have the pleasure of working in PWP's External Affairs Unit. In a few minutes, we will welcome City Manager Miguel Marquez and David Reyes, General Manager of Pasadena Water and Power. I'd also like to acknowledge that we are joined by Pasadena's Director on the Metropolitan District Board, Cynthia Kurtz. After their comments, we'll have a short presentation from Chief Assistant General Manager Stacy Takaguchi, who oversees water, and Assistant General Manager Lynn Chamowitz of PWP's Finance and Administration Unit. We'll have a break in the presentation for questions and answers. Participants can either raise their hand to ask their question live, or they can type the question into the Q&A box at any time. We'll also have time for questions and answers and feedback at the end of the presentation. And now I'd like to introduce City Manager Miguel Marquez. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kelly, and welcome to everyone for this Water Town Hall and to talk about such an important aspect of municipal services, which is, our entire water system. As I think through, so again, thank you for taking the time to engage in this important discussion. These discussions to me are incredibly important, especially in a full service city like ours. It's such a blessing to be full service, where we have our own public health department, we have our own housing department, and we have everything it takes to sort of carve our own path and provide best-in-class municipal services to you all, who we're very clear on. We exist to serve you, our community. I think we saw just in January the importance of being a full-service city. When we had the Eaton fire, I think our fire department did amazing work, our police department, but also our parks department that, repurposed itself to become a shelter operator. And our library system that did the same thing. And so many of our employees, again, being that full service city, 2,400 employees were able to become disaster service workers and really provide you all the services you need. How does that relate to this? Well, we have our own water division in Pasadena Water and Power. And, we get to talk to you, and as a municipal owned utility, we get to listen to your concerns and try to do our level best to deliver to you what you want to see out of your water utility. So thank you again for being an important part of this conversation. I think it's one in a series, and we look forward to learning together with you. And thank you for the time you took to be with us tonight. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. City Manager. And please join me now in welcoming PWP's General Manager, Mr. David Reyes.
Thank you, Kelly. As Mr. Marquez stated, so many folks stepped up during the recent fire, which is really one of the most horrific disasters we've experienced, especially in recent years. And PWP shined as much as we could to try to assist the community. And really tonight you're going to hear about water, and I want to recognize our Chief Assistant General Manager, Stacy Takaguchi, who really led the department, the utility, and the city, and maybe even the region with respect to ensuring that we had safe drinking water after the fire and how to handle really a community response that I think was second to none. As many of you know, we are a publicly owned not-for-profit utility, and we serve about 65,000 customers with electricity, but we also serve about 38,000 households in Pasadena and the San Gabriel Valley, in Altadena in particular, with water. It's our mission that we're committed to providing safe and reliable water and power with superior customer service to all of our residents at a very competitive rate. We've already talked about the fact that you're going to hear from Lynn Chamowitz, who's she's the AGM of Finance Administration. We like to call her our CFO. But in addition to Stacy, who oversees all of the technical issues associated with water and the delivery of water, what Lynn does for the department is extremely important. but we have experts at our water quality lab. We have our own state certified water quality lab. We have water delivery and construction crews that are working hard every day to ensure that we have reliable water. And then we have engineering staff who actually build and ensure that the water delivery system makes sense and is able to carry us into the future. And it's really a privilege for me to lead such an incredibly talented team. And I look forward to the conversation this evening and the questions that you all have. And with that, I'd like to turn it over back to Kelly and say thank you all for taking time this evening to join us.
Thank you very much. And now to open our presentation, let's hear from Chief AGM Stacy Takaguchi.
All right, folks, good evening, and thank you for joining our Water Town Hall today and for being engaged. Engagement is so key to our collective successful future as a community. And I am excited, appreciative, and honored to be serving you and for this opportunity to enhance that engagement by sharing a bit about your water. If you could go to the next one. Let's start with a poll. What type of PWP water customer are you? So this is an interactive meeting, so thank you for that. All right. Looks like there it is. So it looks like majority of the folks on the call are residential and a few are none of the above. So mostly residential on this call. Thank you so much for that. And again, I presented myself and Lynn. Thank you, David, for introducing us. And David also touched up on what drives us. And we're guided and driven by our vision and mission, as you see here, valued community asset, partner in Pasadena's prosperous future, for the quality of life impacting our communities. And what we do is deliver safe and reliable water and power, providing this essential service to our community with superior customer service at competitive rates. And next slide. David also touched upon this, and this is so important. We are a community-owned, not-for-profit utility. It is so very powerful that allows us to align with our local needs, reinvest our revenues to improve our system for reliability, and for all of us to be stewards of our water system and our water future. I'm going to share a quick story of how we came about to be a community-owned utility because I think it's a good one. Prior to the formation of the water department, the city was provided water by numerous private water departments, private water companies actually, which could not financially reinvest into the system. So that led to poor infrastructure and inadequate reliability and really couldn't meet the needs of this emerging city in the late 1800s. Imagine a city without clean, reliable water. So in 1912, the city of Pasadena purchased 3 major private land and water companies, forming the municipal utility, the Pasadena Water Department, which then joined with Pasadena Water and Power. Now, going on to the next bullet, just to keep on this slide, please. Pasadena is one of the major visionary drivers of the formation of the Metropolitan Water District, a wholesale water provider established in 1928. In fact, we were the first city to receive water from the Colorado River Aqueduct from the Metropolitan Water District. And today, we serve about 160, 170,000 people with a service area a bit larger than the city boundaries. Our annual demands are under 30,000 acre feet, with last year being below 23,000 acre feet, which is about 9.9 million 100 cubic feet, or HCF. And 100 cubic feet equates to about 1 billing unit. And one of our engineering managers, Gary Takara, gave some information. A billing unit is about 400 basketballs, 1 cubic feet being about 4 basketballs. So I have a basketball here, put this together for one of our ribbon cutting coming up of our park well, which is, we also help with the basketball court. So imagine 400 of these basketballs full of water being a billing unit, or 4 of these basketballs being a cubic foot. So that's quite fun. These pie diagrams show our makeup of our water users And we have local groundwater, which makes up about a third of our portfolio, with the remaining need met by imported or purchased water via the Metropolitan Water District. Next slide. So where does our water come from? We have a diversified water portfolio for enhanced reliability. Similar to a financial portfolio, the more diversified, the more reliable. We don't put all our eggs in one basket. So here we are in Pasadena, you see that red dot, and we are part of a regional water system that I talked about earlier, working with many partners locally, regionally, statewide, and beyond federally. And as a member of the Metropolitan Water District, we receive water all the way from the Colorado via the system of reservoirs and Metropolitan's Colorado River Aqueduct, as you see there on the east side of that map. And Metropolitan's also a contractor on the State Water Project, originating in Northern California, as you see there. Thank you, Lynn, for that track. Now imagine the systems and partnerships needed to get water from these more flood-prone areas here to Southern California. And then here locally, as you can see in Southern California, we are blessed with groundwater resources, which is like a natural underground storage tank filled with sand and rocks and water. And our groundwater basin here is called the Raymond Basin, which is replenished primarily by what falls from the sky and percolates in the ground, mostly mountain runoff, local stream water via our spreading grounds as shown here. And if you click the next slide, and as you know, particularly felt over the last few years, we experience extreme and variable weather, feast and famine. This diversified portfolio in these multiple hydrologic regions allows us to better weather these extremes for climate adaptation and enhance reliability. You can see there are very dry Oroville and no snowpack in some years, unfortunately, and the rainfall variability just here in our basin varies so greatly from one year to the next. Here's a great slide about our groundwater. Our groundwater resources are beneath our very feet and is managed for sustainability. Pasadena is the largest water rights holder in the basin, and we collaborate with our numerous groundwater basin partners collectively. An interesting fact, Raymond Basin adjudication is the first and oldest groundwater adjudication in the state, December of 1944. And this is what Pasadena pushed for to prevent, I would call it the Wild Wild West type of overpumping. And that's what you see in some of their other areas in California. So I'd say that's quite visionary. We have a strong history of being visionary and in leading sustainability and reliability, which we continue today. And here's a diagram of that natural groundwater storage tank filled with sand and water that I talked about, and an example of a groundwater well that then utilizes that to serve our city and our communities. Then from those resources, from those sources, we have an extensive network of infrastructure and operations to deliver to your homes and businesses. So when you turn on the faucet, clean water flows. We have over 38,000 connections, as David mentioned, hundreds and hundreds of miles of pipes, groundwater wells, reservoirs, treatment plants, pumping stations, and more. Sorry, I didn't realize that was animated. Next slide. And as folks hear me always say, my team, everybody else in the community, water quality is of the utmost importance. When you turn on that faucet, you get safe, high quality water that meets or even goes beyond standards today and into the future. And that includes new regulations like PFAS or forever chemicals that's been in the news nationwide. We track and monitor, identify whether we have them, which we don't, by the way, in our treated water system. And we make sure that we are prepared for future scenarios, including with treatment facilities. As you can see here in the middle, we did a ribbon cutting just last year of one of our brand new groundwater treatment facilities, the Waterworks treatment facility. And we pride ourselves on being one of the few water utilities that has our own certified, accredited water quality laboratory. And we perform rigorous testing, over 5,000 analyses per month. And key thing that we are very focused on is transparency. We know it's important to continually inform our customers of your water quality. We have our consumer confidence report and website, and during the Eaton Fire emergency and beyond, we are posting all of our results on our website as well, so you know what's in your drinking water and that to assure you that what we deliver is safe drinking water. And we don't have unlimited supplies, so we can't have unlimited demands. Effective demand management is critical for our sustainable future, and we are actively advancing water use efficiency as a community, including with awareness and engagement, incentives, and resources. And the results are clear. I love this graph right here. We are continuing the trend of reduced water use despite an overall increase in population. So we're using the same amount today as in 1949, and which is about 30 to 40% less than the peak water use in the 90s, early 2000s. And that's a big deal. What's also big is that we're delivering big projects for our community, and as we need to continue to build a reliable future. Now, one of the largest capital projects is the Sunset Complex project, as you see here. The existing reservoirs are over 130 years old. That's old, from the late 1800s. So if you think about it, I like to think about it like a car. We really drove this car past its mileage, way past 300,000 miles, for example, and it's time to replace it. So this project will provide critical benefits, improve safety, reliability, and resilience. We'll have new reservoirs designed to current standards, groundwater treatment and groundwater well improvements for increased local reliability, and emergency generators during power outages. It is a key investment need for today and future generations. Here's some details about the project itself. The estimated construction cost is around 75 to 80 million. We're looking for it to be completed construction by the end of 2028. And we continue to communicate and engage with our community, and our website also provides more detailed info on this critical project. All right, we also need to continue to be diligent about replacing our main lines. It sounds boring, but this is the backbone of our distribution system. We are an old city steeped in history, and these pipelines really aren't getting any younger. And the consequences of not reinvesting in our system are severe. Not only does it reduce reliability, it actually costs us more. As you can see here, 2.6 million a year on main breaks. So it's better to fix it before it's broken. Now, the destructive Eaton Fire ravaged our Pasadena and Altadena community, including several water facilities. Due to the heroic efforts of our first responders, including our water and power operator and crews, we're able to mitigate damage where possible. Then with the PWP team, including operations and construction crews, engineers, and water quality experts, really all hands on deck, working around the clock and systematically assessing all potentially in fire impacted water facilities. Along with us having our own certified water quality lab that I showed you earlier, we're able to restore our system and ensure and confirm safe drinking water within days. Not months, not years, days. I think that's a great feat. And all of this while many of the team were evacuated themselves, or some even losing their own homes. It's incredible examples of service over self. I'm so proud of our department, so proud of our city and our community. And now we are in the recovery phase. And as our system did sustain damage, we continue to rebuild with resilience. As our mayor says, Dina strong, right? And we recognize and appreciate the partnership and resilience of the community as we collectively recover from this devastating Eaton Fire. We can only do this together. And we do a lot. It's even more than what I just said. We're driven by our mission Other key activities include various infrastructure improvement projects, continue to working with our community and partners, overcoming challenges for continued safe water deliveries, and continue to secure more water supply, smart water management, and working with all of our partners. So here, coming full circle to our utilities origin, we need to continue to invest in ourselves for continued high level of service and reliability. Now here's a broad list of priorities which touches upon the themes described throughout the presentation. We're doing big things, and we're doing big things for the community, and I appreciate all of your support. And now it's my pleasure to introduce our Assistant General Manager of Finance and Administration, Lynn Chimowitz. Oh, actually, Q&A first. Q&A. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Chief AGM Takaguchi. If you have a question, please feel free to type it in the Q&A box, which you'll see on the ribbon at the bottom of your screen, or you're welcome to raise your hand and we can call on you and unmute you. I do see a question here. It says, what is the name of the authority managing the groundwater basin?
Great question. It's the Raymond Basin Management Board. So that board itself, made up of 10 members, Pasadena being one of them, is officially the authoritative body, so the water master, the Raymond Basin Management Board.
Thank you. And I'm just going to pause for a minute to see if I see any raised hands or any additional questions come through. Here we have a question that just came in about water quality. Is it safe to drink our tap water?
Great question, and a resounding yes, 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 yes. Not only is it safe, it is maybe the safest thing to drink, as we are heavily regulated, more regulated than any other, bottled water, for example, company. And we do rigorous testing to ensure that we have safe drinking water. So thank you for that question.
We have another technical question here. What other cities are served by Pasadena Water and Power, and do they pay the same rates?
Good question. Yes, everyone pays the same rate. And we do serve areas outside of the city, unincorporated county, so not another city necessarily, unincorporated county. So including Altadena, one of them, and other areas of the unincorporated county.
Thank you. That clears the question queue in front of me, and seeing no hands raised currently. Oh, I just had one more come in. We'll pop in for one more question if that's okay, and then we'll continue on to the next poll. Does PWP have any programs for water reclamation, such as processing water for reuse, for watering, and non-drinkable, non-potable purposes?
Yeah, I think that can be taken in two different ways. One, at your property itself. And we do have a wonderful program. I think we're pioneers in this program. It's a gray water program called Laundry to Landscape. So from your laundry, you can utilize that water to landscape your yards. This is a free program. You sign up for it. We come out and we do that for you, actually. So it's it's a very popular program, and it's a great program to be reusing your water right there on your own property. So I think that's the question there too. On the other side of it is more on the utility scale of water recycling. That is absolutely something that we continue to look forward with. We have our own ideas on water recycling for nearby utilities and bringing that over to Pasadena for reuse, and also connecting with Metropolitan has a large regional water recycling or water reuse project in motion, and we are heavily monitoring that and seeing where areas where we can partner.
Thank you. Can you please speak to water utilities' role during the fire response and what PWP did and what PWP continues to do?
It's a great question. Such a unprecedented event, the Eaton fire, and it spread so rapidly. And the water and power, the entire utility and entire city had unprecedented response to help serve our city. During the fire itself, we had our crews, again, service over self, going out there, even though their own homes were in danger, making sure to protect our critical water systems as much as they could. Go there, remove them, and store them in a safer place. They also made sure to, as soon as the fire passed, made sure to go to our systems and try to mitigate damages there too. There's a story of folks during our EOC was operated, our Emergency Operations Center was operated, and you can tell when they walked in the room because you could smell the fire coming in with them. And this is how dedicated our utility was, including our power side, making sure that we had power to our pumps to ensure water for firefighting during the entire event. And so heroic efforts during the fire as response, and then continued heroic efforts during recovery. We had folks working, like I said, around the clock, ensuring that we restore our systems as we could, working creatively with our partnering agencies. Kanaloa, a neighboring agency, we have emergency interconnections with all of our neighboring agencies, frankly. And during the fire, those emergency interconnections help save their system. And post-fire, those emergency interconnections help us balance each other. So now they're helping us as well, and serve that water as we address some of the facilities that need a little bit longer to restore. Not to mention, we are the first to make sure that we have that water quality transparency to ensure public safety. And we were the first to put out the do not drink water notice for our community. And by working around the clock with our own water quality lab, working with the state Division of Drinking Water, we're also the first to lift across the region on that. So I think that's a tremendous job that our water utility does for our community. And beyond that, we continue to do that. We continue to test to ensure the safety and the quality of water and our systems across the board.
Thank you. And one last question before we transition to the next portion of the presentation. Is the gray water program available for condos or multifamily buildings?
That is a good question. I'm not sure. I'm going to check on that. I know we have some water conservation folks on the line as well. So I'm going to give them a text, and hopefully by the end of this, I can get back to you.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much. And as a reminder, please feel free to continue to enter your questions into the Q&A box, or you can raise your hand at the end of the presentation, and we can call on you live to respond to those questions as well. And at this time, I'm going to turn the presentation over to our Assistant General Manager of Finance and Administration, Lynn Chamowitz. Thank you.
Thank you for the introduction. I guess we're going to start this quick poll because it sounds like we have a lot of residential customers on the line, but I want to know a little bit more about how often you look at your PWP utility bill so I can help tailor the conversation that we're having today. Okay, so Kelly, if you can help me identify who looks at every bill so we can have them answer some questions, that'll be great. Just kidding. Okay, thank you everyone for participating. So I'm going to just talk a little bit about your utility bill, and just right off the bat, I want to let you all know that we're constantly looking at strategies in order to keep our rates competitive. Having competitive water rates is a core value and mission statement that we have here at PWP for your water. And what we can do as a utility is use every tool in our toolbox in order to make sure that your rates are competitive and affordable for you. Some of those things that we can do on the utility side are to look for grant funding and pursue any type of grant that we can find for things such as water conservation. We've received grants for arrearage assistance. We've received grants for infrastructure. So finding every dollar that we can leverage from outside sources to make sure that your rates are affordable for you. The other thing that we can do is we can control costs. Just making sure that we're efficiently using every dollar and every resource that we have to make sure that you're getting that high quality service at a reasonable cost. So being cost effective. And then the other thing that we have that we can use is we can issue bonds, and we have debt financing. We keep a really critical eye on what our credit rating is so that we can borrow money so that all of these key investments are spread out throughout time, so that you as a ratepayer today is not necessarily paying for all of these investments. As Stacy said, you know, we've driven some of these cars past 300,000 miles, and when we replace them, they're going to be good for another 300,000 miles. So we want to make sure that's spread out over time throughout our ratepayers. So we can use that through debt financing. That not every part of the city has that tool available to them. So we use that resource judiciously. And it's also really key. We're a utility, so we've talked a lot about the reinvestment and the long-term planning that needs to happen. So we are always thinking of long-term and what gives us the best return on investment when we're making decisions of what to put in our capital plan for the future. We're also keeping up and trying to be competitive with the technology landscape. There's a lot of new technologies that we all hear about in the news that help us to more efficiently get the job done with fewer resources. And then also asset management planning. You know, Chief AGM Takaguchi talked a little bit before about it's so much more expensive to replace something after it's no longer good. So really keeping up with that asset management is really critical for keeping your rates competitive. And this is just a presentation of what your bill is actually paying for. So, you know, this is also, May is also sort of budget season as well. So we have two different budgets that go into your water bill. We have the operating budget, which is sort of the year-to-year operational expenses. So the operational expenses, as you can see, purchased water is a large portion of what the expenses for the water utility are. With that imported water from Metropolitan Water District of Southern California is a big chunk. So that's nearly $20 million out of the total $64 million budget is for purchased water. And then other than that, it's expenses related to the water that we're providing you is also a service. So these are the operating and maintenance costs to deliver that water to your home. And you'll see that that is a portion of the rate that you pay on your bill. The other portion of your bill is paying for the capital needs of the system. So we're making big investments. If you were to take this graph on the right here showing the capital needs and go back 5 years, those investments in capital needs are significantly less. So we are having a portion of reinvestment and a time of accelerated reinvestment. But either way, again, we are a community nonprofit utility. So every dollar that you pay on your bill, it goes back into the system to continue to pay for the services that we're providing. Your water bill has two main components of your rates. There's the fixed charge on your rate that is a flat amount that you pay. It's the same amount based on your water meter size primarily. And that goes into paying for costs that are typically fixed and based on the account. And so that's costs such as customer service, and it's also the capacity. So it's the size, the costs that differ based on the size of your meter or how much you're capable of using on your property. The second portion is the variable charge. So this is the portion that customers can control the amount of that they're paying based on the amount of water that is used. That includes costs such as purchased water, treatment, and delivery of water. So the way that we have the variable charge set up is that it is a tiered water rate system. So each customer, the residential customers, each have a certain allotment of water that they can use for each bill. And as you cross certain thresholds or go into certain tiers, there's different prices, increasing prices for each of that water usage. If you're curious and you want to see and play around with how much conservation could save you on your total bill, our PWP website does have a bill estimator that will be updated and is updated right now. We recently adopted a new 5-year rate plan on July 1st, 2024. So you can see what your bill would have been and what your bill is now. And we will be resetting that shortly to show the new rate schedule that will be effective July 1st, 2025. That was approved by council. So those are all of the things that we can do to make your water bill as affordable as possible. And these are things that you, as residential customers, have available to you for free from the utility to help conservation for the community as a whole. So we have a number of rebate programs. One of the things that I would like to highlight is we have a home improvement programs. So you can set up an appointment with someone and they can go into your home, and this is actually for water and power. You can have an expert come to your house and identify areas where you can look to conserve or use more water efficiently within your home. We also have direct rebate programs such as the turf replacement program. Stacy highlighted the laundry to landscape gray water system. We can also help you provide some cost offset for your irrigation controller report or irrigation controller rebate. So controlling your sprinklers, helping you figure out what is the right amount to water any landscaping that you may have. And then finally, also home water reports to just give you a sense of how much you're using. So we have all of these tools to help you to be able to control that variable portion of your bill. We also have numerous commercial customer programs that are available as well, but I'll skip through that because it sounds like we don't have any commercial customers on this evening. But really what I want to reiterate is tap water, which is very much drinkable, and you should absolutely drink it because it is such a great deal. So the gentleman on the right, in the picture on the right, is standing in front of that line above his head. The red and white line is 748 gallons, which is one billing unit. So that one billing unit, depending on where you are with your allocation, could cost anywhere from $2 to $5. But considering that if you bought that in bottled water, that would be 100 times the cost. So it's really still less than 1 cent per gallon, 25 cents to take a 10-minute shower with a low flow shower head. But tap water, what we're delivering to you, cheaper than Amazon, is it's a terrific deal, and we take great pride in being able to serve that to you. If you want to know more, we publish an annual report every year that has all of the financial information about the utility, as well as some other highlights and key achievements. So that is now available on our website as well. So there's some key facts there. And again, it has all of the financial information available there. And with that, there's question and answer portion for Kelly.
Thank you very much. I do have a few questions that have come through, and I'd like to just remind everyone that you're welcome to submit a question in writing using the Q&A box, or you're welcome to raise your hand, and we'll call on you and unmute you if you'd like to ask your question live. So I have a few questions here. DWR announced their turf replacement pilot program that provides direct assistance to replace ornamental turf with drought-tolerant and water-efficient landscaping. Is Pasadena going to replace lawns at City Hall, libraries, etc.?
Yeah, I'll take that one. Absolutely. Absolutely. And we've been working on that process for a while. We also have our rebates as well in partnership with the Metropolitan Water District, Southern California. And we are definitely doing that. We haven't been watering the turf at City Hall with any potable water for a bit now, and we are looking at right timing to do so on replacing the turf at City Hall. It's one of the programs that we are working with as well. We do that with our fire stations. We do that with our own properties as well. So you will see that around the city. Since I have the floor for a second, I do want to go back to that other question about the gray water system at multifamily homes. It could qualify. It is not precluded from that. And we do the site evaluations. We'll conduct a no-cost site evaluation for any PWP customer with a water account to see if they're a good candidate. Depending on your system, it may or may not be a good candidate, but they will come out and check it for you. And the email, I'm going to say this, is greywater, so GREY water, at cityofpasadena.net to schedule a site evaluation. I wanted to say that. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And just following up on that, because we did just receive a follow-up question. And the gray water system is also, the rebate for that, also single family homes may be eligible?
Absolutely. Yes.
Thank you for that clarification. And what is DWR?
Department of Water Resources. Thank you. I'm assuming. I mean, that wasn't my question, but I'm assuming.
Probably. Very likely. I have a couple of questions for AGM Chamowitz. Has shifting more revenue recovery to the monthly fixed charge resulted in lower income customers that use less water paying more, and maybe subsidizing customers who use more water for discretionary uses like irrigating large properties?
When I'm assuming that we're talking about the recent rate changes. So if a low income customer uses less water, then yes, there would be a shift, because there would be a greater proportion of your bill would be on the fixed portion. I do want to make sure that everyone knows that we do have a legal obligation for when we're setting our water rates to make sure that all of the rates that we're setting do align with what we call cost of service. So it has to have a clear connection between what it costs us to provide that service and how much a customer is paying. We do set rates regardless of someone's ability to pay or their income level. That is not typically a factor that is considered when we're setting rates, unfortunately, just because of some of our legal guidelines and parameters. But in general, having a greater fixed cost would put more of a general cost burden on someone who uses less water.
I do want to add, though, Lynn, and correct me if I'm wrong too, is if you're a large irrigating property, you would have a larger meter, and that means a larger fixed cost.
That is true.
So that's a good distribution of costs depending on use, and that's the cost of service. There's a distribution of cost depending on use. I also like to think of the fixed charge. The way I look at it too is if you're there the entire time and your neighbor only comes in maybe in the summer or in the winter, one time of the year, they should be paying for that infrastructure to their home year round, not just when they use the water. So that allows the utility and for the community to spread that cost, that fixed cost of infrastructure equally amongst our entire community, so that that burden isn't on the low income or any customer, specifically more than another customer.
Yeah, thanks, Stacey. And I think, as you could have probably noticed from the pie chart, a lot of the costs that are associated with operating the utility are, by their very nature, they're fixed costs. It's a very labor intensive, making sure that we have our water quality staff there all the time to monitor the quality of the water, being there if there's a concern, main break, anything like that. It's primarily a service that is being provided, and the service has a lot of fixed costs associated with it. So that's just the nature of if you're thinking of if you have a Netflix subscription, right? Like that's the same. It's a fixed amount every month, whether or not you use it or not. So it's really just that nexus of the cost to provide the service that we have.
I do want to provide another shout out about those are the kind of investments that we make that allowed us to respond so quickly and recover so well in moments like the Eaton fire. We have our own water quality lab. We have our own crews, and those operating expenses are important to have. Thank you, Lynn, and thank you for the question.
Thank you both. There's another question about water rates. How will tariffs likely impact water rates?
I think I do not have a crystal ball. I think what we have seen is that in general, the cost of doing business over the past 5 years, it has been increasing. It really depends. We do source a lot of materials from within the United States already. So that is helpful to help us sort of minimize the impact of what's going on with the global trade and tariffs and everything like that. It's really difficult to predict at this point, but we are really cognizant of what we're purchasing, and just trying to make sure that, first and foremost, we have a warehouse, so we're sure to make sure we are certain to make sure that we have all of the materials that we need for ongoing maintenance already in our inventory system. So that might not be something that we really feel the full impact or burden for a little bit of time. So that is a very long way of saying I am not sure.
Thank you for that. We have another question here about a request to repeat the email address for gray water evaluation. So I'm going to do that now. It's greywater, GREYWATER at cityofpasadena.net. You can also visit our website at pwpweb.com, and you can get information and I believe submit an application or get information about the application on the website as well. Or you can call us at PWP's customer service line, which is 626-744-4005. That's 626-744-4005. Just want to double check. I'm not seeing any further hands raised, and I believe we've addressed the questions in the question queue. I did want to pop back one slide if we could, please. We wanted to share and announce that we have a series of events going on for Water Awareness Month that we're very excited to celebrate in May as a utility. AGM Takaguchi, do you want to tell us a little bit about Water Awareness Month and some of these great events coming up?
Absolutely. We also have one of our water conservation team members, Kristen Torres, available too. So Kristen, if you want to actually take the reins, if you're available. If not, I can certainly go through it.
Yes, hi, I'd be happy to.
Excellent.
So we are really excited about all the events that we have planned for the month of May. And the first one on the slide is our Garden Show and Tell. And this is an ongoing program that started first day of May, and it is going to go through June 13th. So there's more information on our website. At the bottom, you could please visit pwpweb.com/the ripple effect. And we're encouraging PWP residents to submit photos of their landscape transformations. So transforming their landscapes from thirsty turf into drought tolerant and native landscapes, anything from highlighting rain capture features, water harvesting. So this is our second year, and we're already having a great participation rate. And everyone who participates and submits photos will receive a voucher for a free native plant. And we will also be selecting a garden of the week to be featured on our website every week and on our social media channels. We do have a Monk Hill facility tour coming up this Saturday, May 10th. And this is an RSVP only event. And as of now, it is at full capacity, but we do have a wait list, and we encourage people, if they're interested, to log on and go to our workshops and events link and sign up to join our wait list. We're hoping to have another event scheduled within the next 6 months. And we would love to pull people from that wait list to invite them to the next tour. We're also having preschool story time with a water treatment operator next Tuesday at Jefferson Branch Library. There's a Being Water Wise art contest for children, I believe, elementary school, kindergarten through high school. And there's a really great contest, and it's through the Metropolitan Water District. So encourage your school-age children to submit art photos of what it means to them to be water wise. We also have a self-guided walking tour of our demonstration gardens. There's a map available at the Ripple Effect website, and it also has a cell phone a digital map that you can download on your phone that way too. So it guides you through a lot of our demonstration gardens in the city that highlight a lot of drought tolerant and rainwater harvesting features and native plants as well. And this is a growing, growing effect that we have, and we are increasing the amount of demonstration gardens that we'll be adding every year. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Can I have the next slide, please? As always, we'd like to continue to encourage you to stay up to date on happenings at Pasadena Water and Power. And a great way to do that is to follow us on social media, or you can email us directly. You can reach us at pwpcommunications@cityofpasadena.net, or visit our website at pwpweb.com. And seeing no further questions, I'm just going to put out a call to any of the panelists in case they had any additional information that they'd like to add.
I just want to say thank you so much. And thank you again for your engagement in these kind of forums and in your water system overall. So thank you.
Yes, thank you so much for taking the time out of your evening tonight. We really appreciate it.